Picture it, a golden palace, a crown worth millions, and a grown adult monarch who is quietly forbidden from eating a plate of garlic prawns like a normal human being. Behind the tiaras and the horse-drawn carriages hides a suffocating maze of bizarre rules, ancient superstitions, and genuinely absurd restrictions nobody outside the gates ever hears about. The glamour you see is a costume, and here are 22 strange royal restrictions that prove being born into a palace is basically an elegant, gilded prison sentence. 1. The royal family observes an ironclad convention of total political silence, meaning they are constitutionally expected never to publicly reveal personal voting preferences or partisan opinions. This neutrality is not written statute, but a deeply entrenched tradition, ensuring the monarch remains a unifying figure above the grubby chaos of everyday party politics. Owning immense influence yet muzzling yourself forever sounds maddening. Like being handed the loudest megaphone on the planet and then being ordered to whisper about the weather. 2. Modern royals are broadly discouraged from taking casual selfies with excited members of the public, a guideline meant to preserve dignity and reduce security chaos. The convention encourages traditional eye contact and conversation instead of turning every royal engagement into a frantic, disorganized scrum of outstretched smartphones and awkward camera angles. Being too regal for a quick selfie sounds snobbish, like a pop star begging fans to please just make eye contact instead of filming absolutely everything through a tiny glowing screen. 3. Female royals are strongly expected to wear vividly bright, saturated colors during public appearances, specifically so enormous crowds can easily spot the monarch instantly. The Queen deliberately favored bold blocks of neon greens, pinks, and yellows, once reportedly noting that people needed to actually see her to remember her. Dressing like a highlighter for visibility sounds funny. Like a manager forced to wear traffic cone orange purely so distracted employees never lose track of the boss in a busy room. 4. Female royals attending formal engagements are broadly expected to wear sheer tights or nude stockings at all times, since bare uncovered legs are considered subtly improper. Though never an explicitly written law, this rigid convention of always covering the legs reflects a deeply conservative, old-fashioned standard of polished public presentation. Being forbidden from showing bare shins sounds absurd, like a dress code so uptight that visible ankles are treated as a scandalous, borderline revolutionary act of public defiance. 5. Anyone formally meeting the reigning monarch is traditionally expected to perform a respectful bow from the neck or a graceful curtsy as a mark of deference. This centuries-old gesture of submission applies to family members and foreign dignitaries alike, though the rules relax considerably in genuinely private, off-camera family settings. Bending your body to greet a relative sounds excessive, like being contractually required to physically bow to your own grandmother before she will even consider passing you the potatoes. 6. Palace protocol dictates that ordinary members of the public should never physically touch a royal unless the royal personally initiates the contact first. This etiquette famously wobbled in 2009 when First Lady Michelle Obama warmly placed her arm around the Queen, sparking a minor transatlantic media frenzy about broken rules. Needing permission before hugging another human sounds cold, like a workplace where touching your own manager requires signed consent forms filed in triplicate with human resources. 7. Working members of the royal family are effectively forbidden from signing autographs for adoring fans, a restriction rooted in the constant, genuine fear of forgery. Because a royal signature could be maliciously copied onto fraudulent documents or contracts, the only sanctioned handwriting appears on official papers and formal guest books. Being too famous to sign your own name sounds absurd, like a celebrity so recognizable that scribbling a napkin doodle could accidentally authorize a hostile corporate takeover overnight. 8. The reigning British monarch uniquely required neither a passport nor a driving license, because both official documents were historically issued in the sovereign's own royal name. Queen Elizabeth II therefore traveled across the entire globe and drove privately around her estates without ever carrying a single scrap of standard identification. Being the one person too important for ID sounds surreal, like the author of every rulebook casually strolling past security because technically the rules are all signed by them. 9. Members of the royal family are strongly discouraged from eating shellfish whenever they travel abroad on official state visits or lengthy diplomatic tours. The unwritten protocol exists purely to minimize the catastrophic risk of food poisoning, derailing a carefully choreographed international engagement watched by millions of people worldwide. Avoiding oysters to protect a fragile itinerary sounds paranoid, like canceling every fun plan in your life because a stomach bug might theoretically ruin one important Zoom meeting tomorrow. 10. Buckingham Palace kitchens operate under a strict decades-long ban on garlic, a rule enforced personally because the late Queen Elizabeth II genuinely detested the pungent ingredient. Former royal chefs, including Darren McGrady, have confirmed that onions and garlic were quietly forbidden to protect the monarch's breath before endless diplomatic handshakes and conversations. Ruling a global empire while dodging garlic bread forever sounds tragic. Like a billionaire who owns everything on earth yet still cannot order a decent late-night kebab. 11. Royals are effectively unable to refuse official gifts presented during engagements because rejecting a present could deeply offend the generous giver or an entire nation. Every single item, however strange, must be politely accepted, meticulously logged in official records, and technically considered property of the crown rather than personal treasure. Being legally trapped into hoarding every weird gift sounds exhausting. Like a birthday where you must smile and keep every hideous sweater forever, then file paperwork proving you own it. 12. Rigid dining etiquette historically demanded that everyone at a royal banquet immediately stop eating the very moment the reigning monarch set down their own cutlery. Fast eaters and slow eaters alike had to obsessively track the sovereign's pace, risking an abruptly abandoned meal if the queen finished her portion quickly. Losing your dinner because someone else chews faster sounds cruel. Like a group restaurant bill where the fastest eater silently decides precisely when everyone else must go permanently hungry. 13. Strict jewelry etiquette dictates that unmarried women and daytime events forbid tiaras entirely, since the sparkling headpieces may only appear on married women after 6 in the evening. This antique rule signals a woman's marital availability, historically communicating to any watching suitor that a tiara-wearing lady was already firmly and respectably spoken for. Turning a crown into a relationship status sounds outdated, like wearing a glittering, diamond-encrusted headband purely to broadcast that your dating profile is permanently and officially deactivated. 14. Royal births are traditionally announced to the waiting world on a formal, gilded easel, propped ceremoniously outside the gates of Buckingham Palace itself. This antique custom, predating social media entirely, means the public historically learned of a future king's arrival from a handwritten notice, rather than an instant text alert. Announcing a baby on a garden easel sounds quaint, like posting the biggest news of the decade on a physical notice board, while the entire rest of humanity refreshes their phones. 15. Two direct heirs to the throne are traditionally forbidden from traveling together aboard the exact same aircraft, a chilling rule designed around sudden catastrophic death. Prince William and his young son Prince George, once George reached a certain age, began flying separately to guarantee the fragile line of succession survives any crash. Splitting up your own family to hedge against extinction sounds grim, like two co-founders refusing to share a taxi in case the entire company dies in traffic. 16. Every royal packing for an overseas trip must bring a complete black mourning outfit, ready for the instant, unexpected death of a senior family member. This morbid protocol was permanently cemented in 1952, when Elizabeth learned of her father King George VI's death while touring distant Kenya. Carrying a funeral costume on every single holiday sounds deeply paranoid, like packing your own eulogy alongside sunscreen, just in case the vacation takes a spectacularly dark and irreversible turn. 17. The late Queen Elizabeth reportedly used her ever-present handbag as a discreet secret signaling device to silently communicate hidden instructions to her attentive staff. Shifting the bag from one arm to the other allegedly meant she wanted rescuing from a tedious conversation, while placing it down signaled an event should soon end. Using a purse as a coded distress beacon sounds ridiculous, Like blinking Morse code at a waiter because openly admitting the party is boring would be far too rude. 18. Perhaps the strangest restriction of all, senior royals historically required the monarch's explicit consent to legally marry, a rule enshrined in the 1772 Royal Marriages Act. Under the modernized 2013 succession law, the first 6 people in line to the throne still must secure formal royal permission, or their marriage becomes legally void. Needing your grandmother's signature to wed sounds medieval. Like an adult being told their engagement is completely invalid, unless the family's CEO personally approves the paperwork first. 19. The royal family reportedly embraces a delightfully petty Christmas tradition of exchanging cheap, deliberately ridiculous gag gifts rather than expensive, luxurious presents at Sandringham. Kate Middleton famously once gave Prince Harry a grow-your-own-girlfriend novelty kit, proving the wealthiest family alive genuinely prefers absurd humor over glittering extravagance. Billionaires swapping joke shop rubbish sounds bizarre. Like the richest people on Earth competing furiously over who found the funniest, most gloriously useless item in the entire pound shop. 20. At the Sandringham estate, guests historically endured a bizarre Christmas tradition of being weighed on an antique scale upon arrival, then weighed again before leaving. This unusual custom, introduced by the famously gluttonous King Edward VII, aimed to cheerfully prove that visitors had eaten well and truly enjoyed the lavish hospitality. Publicly measuring guests like livestock sounds mortifying, like a dinner host who forces every visitor onto a bathroom scale to statistically prove the appetizers were genuinely irresistible. 21. The royal family reportedly maintains an unofficial ban on playing Monopoly together, because the notoriously ruthless board game triggers uncomfortably vicious competitive behavior among relatives. Prince Andrew once openly admitted the family avoids the property game entirely, since things predictably escalate and become far too aggressive and personal between siblings. A dynasty that literally rules real kingdoms banning a fake real estate game sounds hilarious, like professional boxers being forbidden from arm wrestling in case someone gets emotionally hurt. 22. Under an ancient statute stretching back to Edward II in 1324, the British monarch technically owns all unmarked mute swans, plus certain whales, dolphins, and sturgeon. These creatures are legally designated royal fish, meaning a beached whale on a British shore theoretically belongs to the crown rather than any lucky beachcomber. Personally owning every swan and stray dolphin sounds insane. Like a landlord whose lease somehow includes all the pigeons, seagulls, and confused fish within the entire postcode.